Okay, guys, so we start our presentation on art of business presentation, right? And today, what I will do is basically walk you through how to create a professional business presentation, and I will, share a few templates with you so that you get a better grip on how a professional presentation looks like, right? I think there was a small technical glitch before we started, but I think now it is resolved. So I think we are ready to go. So today, let me just quickly share the basic agenda with all of you so that we can then quickly get started, set up the structure for this entire session, and then step by step walk through this entire journey of creating professional business presentations. So let me quickly share the presentation with all of you, right? So great, guys. So here is the agenda. I hope that all of you are able to see the same. The agenda would be that I'll be primarily starting off with why do we need to have a session like a business presentation. So why at first place are you attending this session with me is something we are going to answer in the next few minutes. Then basically I will walk you through the concept of storylining and messaging. At times here, what happens is when we are creating a PowerPoint presentation or the traditional courses which we get on PowerPoint presentation, it basically walks you through the tools and other tips which are required to create a slide. But today, more than the slide, we are going to look at how do we message our titles and how do we storyline our entire presentation such that our audience gets the concept in a very lucid manner. So that will be the second thing on our agenda today. Then comes the third part of our agenda, which would be where I will, quickly I will start off with a very simple PowerPoint presentation. So what I will do is quickly start or open a PowerPoint presentation and show you how a dull look of a PowerPoint can immediately be converted into something more presentable. And we will get started from there. Then the agenda, then I'll pause for a while, see if you have any questions. And then in the last part of our presentation, what we are going to do is I will basically walk you through few business scenarios and few templates which are used in that scenarios. Again, the idea, my dear friends, are very simple, is that at times we have really good idea or really good concept in our head and we want to show it in our presentation, but we are really not sure as to what kind of template or what kind of depiction can best handle that. So I think that is something which we will deal with in our last session. So I am just pausing for a while. So just give me 1 minute. So great, guys. So sorry for that delay. I think some of you were getting some echo in the audio. So I had stopped for a while to check if everything was fine. So let's start the presentation. Okay, so let me quickly get into why we need business presentations at all. So let's understand that presentations going forward will be your one primary tool, or if I may say, one strong tool to present your ideas in any professional setup. Because whenever now, when you will grow in your career, when you will go into, the corporate world, or if you are already sitting into the corporate world, and if you keep upgrading yourself every day in your career, you will realize that very soon you will be into a shoes of a manager or into a shoes of a presenter, where you'll be presenting to lot many people. And in that case, your ideas would not be the only source of presenting yourself. Your ideas, of course, have to be strong, but presentation is one of those tools through which you can project your ideas to the larger audience. Now, if we have to look at, four broad areas where your presentations will be helpful, of course, if you marry your idea with your presentation, if you marry your talks with your presentation, that sets a very right impression, and it sets the tone of any meeting. It also gives you an edge in an intra-college or inter-college competition. So whenever you're going for any college competitions, you will realize one thing, that your first selection which happens, or the first shortlist which happens, is primarily based on your presentation, which you either send over email or you do a small mock-up presentation with a small team. So in that case also, your presentation is your face towards the jury, right, as to what your idea is. So your presentation has to be really strong in order to make an impact. Third, if it is also very easy to communicate with the team in a business setup. So remember, guys, when you get into the corporate world, or as you move up the ladder in your career, you will realize that you are not the only one. I repeat, you are not the only one who has the onus of delivering things. So you will have several people under you, and they will be, and you will be coordinating several modules for each of the teams, so that they can work synchronously with you, and you can communicate their task to them very easily. You will have to present your ideas, or you'll have to present those tasks in a simple and lucid presentations. And in that case also, the PowerPoint presentation again is very helpful. And lastly, whenever you have those eureka moments where you figure out that your idea is something which can be built into the next billion-dollar company, and you have this startup idea of your own, of course, then any startup idea, when you are discussing it with a larger audience, whether it is your friends or your investors, again it has to be supported by some really strong presentation, because just doing a talk would not cut the piece, because at times you will be speaking to a very larger audience. So when you project your ideas in the presentation, it leaves a much better impact. Right now, let's go to the second part of the agenda, where I said that we will be walking through the storylining and messaging. Now, what is storylining and messaging, guys? Again, let's get it very straight, guys. Storylining and messaging is one thing which is ignored in each of the business presentations, or in each of the professional workshops which you will attend around presentations. Because what happens is that uh, the focus is on knowing the tools, in setting up the color combinations, in putting good pictures in the presentation. And amid all this, you forget storylining and messaging. And in fact, a lot many of you will not even know the concept of storylining and messaging. So let me give you some examples of what messaging is all about, and at the same time then walk you through some very practical examples which I have picked up uh, some very practical examples which I have picked up, and I'll just walk you through how somebody has presented an idea, how somebody has presented an idea in a very story like format. Because if your idea is presented in a story format to an audience which is not which is receiving that idea for the first time, it becomes very easy for him to grasp what you are saying. So hence storylining is again very important. So I will walk you through a very realistic example as to what is storylining. So let me first talk about messaging, and then I will walk you through a practical example of storylining. So let's see, guys, in this messaging is basically about action titles. So the titles which you see here, the titles of each of your slide, these have to be action slides rather than dull looking words or just small phrases. So it your title needs to communicate a message. It needs to give a gist of what is there in the complete slide. So let me give you some examples as to how people generally use non-actionable titles and how it can be converted into action titles. Okay, so let me just show you few examples. So let's start with case one, where a non-action title would be financial statement, and then you would put down the P&L of the company and maybe the cash flow and whatnot. Now instead of this non-action title which means nothing to me, so if I read this title financial statement, I can make nothing of what is coming out of the financial statement. Instead give me the gist, or instead have a action title which tells me, okay, what is this slide all about, or what is the insight from this slide. So you may write, depending on what the situation is, the action title could be financial show steady year-on-year growth for the last 3 years. So this tells me that, okay, it is not just a financials which you are showing me. The crux of the matter is that financials have improved over the last 3 years. Similarly, another non-actionable title could be our plan. So if you are presenting something to the investor and you say our plan, now the investor wants to know your plan upfront rather than he taking the pain of going through the entire slide. Of course, the slide will have the detail, but in the messaging itself, you need to put down that plan very specifically. That our plan is, say the action title could be, our plan is to reach 1,000 cities and provide quality food. So now this is a much more meaningful title which sets the tone of each of your slide. Similarly, another non-actionable title which is very, very common when you start a presentation, you start off by saying, introduction. Now again, it is again a non-actionable title. Tell me, what are you going to explore in this introduction, or what is the agenda of this slide, right? So a more actionable title could be, current political scenario is deplorable and needs a complete overhaul. So now this sets the agenda up front. Now your slide will have the details about how the political scenario is deplorable, but if your action title is more around giving the gist, it becomes very powerful right in the front, and it also catches the attention of the audience up front. Again, a common non-actionable title is competitive analysis. Now again, this means nothing to me. It means nothing to the end audience. The end audience then has to take the pain of going through your entire slide and understanding what the competitive analysis, what is the crux of that competitive analysis. Instead, just give me the crux. So competitions, so the actionable title could be, competition's market share has stagnated at 30% for last several years. So it immediately gives me the market share that, okay, there is something wrong with the competition, you are going to do something better, right? Again, a non-actionable title could be business plan. Again, business plan per se doesn't tells me much, right? If you have a business plan, give me the summary of what that plan is in one single title. So an actionable title could be, we want to change the way Indian households purchase their furniture. So this tells me upfront what your business plan is, rather than me going through the entire slide and understanding, okay, this is your business plan. So the gist of this entire slide, my dear friends, is that upfront you need to be very clear and you need to lay down a powerful statement in your slide rather than having non-actionable titles which makes the end audience wonder as to what that title is all about or what that slide is all about, right? Now let's now talk about how to connect or how to tie the action titles to create a cohesive story. So again, you have several slides, each one of them has an actionable title. Now, how do you ensure that these action titles are tied up well to create a beautiful storyline which gives me right from the beginning all the way till the end the complete summary of what this presentation is all about. Hence, tying up the action slide, the art of tying up the action titles to create a story is called a storyline. Okay, so now I will just walk you through a simple case and show you how a beautiful storyline is built up by stitching together the action titles. Okay, so let me walk you through a simple case. Currently, ICC, the conduct of BCCI, IPL has been into limelight, especially after the Supreme Court's verdict and the Mudgal Committee report, etc. People have started talking about BCCI and its corrupt practices, etc., and how there is a need to, correct the current functioning of BCCI. Now, in this context, if I have to set up a storyline for an outsider who is completely devoid of what is happening in cricket, now how can I have actionable titles, and then how can I create a beautiful story around it so that even to a stranger who has no freaking idea about what cricket is all about and what is going inside it can get the gist of what is happening. So let me show you the entire story. Okay, and let me walk you through few slides and you will get the meaning of what is a storylining. Okay, let me pause for a while. Let me quickly check if things are going fine on everybody's end. Okay, so let me pause for a while here. I'm just pausing here for a while just to see. So great, guys. So let me just quickly walk you through the context. So we have got the context. The context is very simple. BCCI is caught up with corrupt practices. Recent Mudgal committee report has suggested that few people were involved in it, and hence people are shouting for the complete overhaul of how the cricketing world is run into in our country, right? So now let me put that into actionable slides and show you how we stitch it up together to present a storyline. So let's read through the messages. Let's read through the messages and see if these messages are making sense. So the first actionable slide tells me and sets the context for the entire story. It tells me ICC has become a coterie of egoist governing bodies. So it immediately lays down the picture that the entire ICC is being now governed by people who who are already charged of corrupt practices, right? And these people are part of the governing bodies, mind it. Next, the problem has not only been because of the governing body, but it has also been now compounded by the emergence of corrupt practices. So again, you find some snapshots of how people have been charged of fixing. So hence, the second actionable slide talks about the corrupt practices. Then comes the third slide, which tells you that independent voices have recommended complete overhaul of the existing system, right? Where where the complete overhaul is suggested by reputed people in the sports fraternity. And in this context, the entire system needs an overhaul, where you then lay down the three options or four options where the changes can be done to resolve the current uh, to resolve the current morality of BCCI. So hence, let me now step back and see how we connected the story. Just read through the title and you will be able to figure out how we have story is getting complete. So to an outsider, we are telling this. ICC has become a coterie of ego all of the existing system, and in this context, the entire system needs an overhaul. So hence, by means of actionable slides and putting the actionable slides in a sequence in a manner in which it follows the previous slide, completes the story. So this is called messaging and storylining. And dear friends, it is very important to have these messaging and storylining for any of your presentations, because your slides can be very zazzy, your slides can be very attractive behind a trail of confused audience. Okay, so hence you set up the basic presentation template and then get started, right? So now we look at how do we set up the basic PowerPoint template and how do we get started before we get into the creativity part where we add in touch of professionalism so that our presentations look much more professional. So all I will do is do this. I will minimize everything which is there right now in front of your screen. I will simply start a basic PowerPoint application, and then in that see how a dull looking layout can be converted into something which is much more professional, right? So let me just minimize everything. Let me just start a simple PowerPoint. Now if you see, a simple PowerPoint looks very dull in its outlook. So this is, my dear friends, this is exactly now what you can do. You go to view and you go to slide master. This is where your entire template is being set. If you can set your template here, you are sorted for your remaining slides. And it needs a very basic tweak. You don't need a lot of zazzy stuff to build in. You just need basic stuff to just create a solid base for the rest of your presentation. So let me just quickly see uh, how to set it up. So first and foremost is that you need more professional editing of your title. So what we generally do, or what is generally followed, is you can switch it to the font Verdana, switch this size to 28, make it bold, and make it left align. Also change the color to blue. So a lot of corporates follow the color blue, the others follow color green. So like BCG, it follows green color to its code. JP Morgan, if you see their slides, they generally follow they follow blue color, right? So you have set the basic template of the title, right? Now let's do one more thing. Let's add a line to it. Let's add a border to it. So what you do is just pick this line tool from your toolbox here, right? So you have picked up the line tool, press shift and then drag this line. Press shift and drag this line. Remember why? Again, I repeat, pick up the line and then press shift and drag the line. Okay, press shift and drag the line. Why we are pressing shift, my dear friends, is because if you press shift, then in that case your lines automatically come out to be straight. Now change the shape outline color to blue, change the thickness of the same, right? So maybe make it 3 points, and also add some effects. So let me go to the shadows and let me go to the shadow options. In the shadow options, just change the shadow color to maybe light blue. So what you will find is you will find, you know, a tinge of light blue shade. So now, my dear friends, we are all set. You need not do anything. The rest of it, I will walk you through different templates. The main thing is that when you are creating any basic template, you should have the slide set up with this, so that then you can quickly replicate. All you need to do is duplicate slides and keep moving on. So now I move back to the slide master and I close my slide. Now if you go to the layout and you create any layout, so say for example any to content, right? So what you will find is this is already set. Your title is already set to Verdana 28. It is already bold. So whatever my actionable title, right? So your title is already sent to the font which you have sent. There is already an underlining which gives it a touch of professionalism, right? And all you need to do from now on is simply duplicate for any new slide which you need to create. So for any new slide which you need to create, you simply duplicate it, and all your other things remain constant. So you can keep changing the titles, keep adding new context to it, but you will have the slide template ready. So this way, what you can do is create the basic layout of any of your slides, which will get you started at the first place, right? So I am not going to save this. You have this video, so in case you want to refer it back, do go back and check this small little thing around slide master, which lets you set up the professional touch to any of your PowerPoint presentations, right? So let me close this off. Okay, so we are back to our main slide, which is art of business presentation. So now let me pause here for a while and see if you have any queries so far. Because from now on, what we will do is that now that we have learned why business presentations are important, how do we ensure that our business presentations are not just jazzy but has a storylining and messaging to it. Now that we have set up the basic template of our slide, where we have set up the font size, the colors, the font of our slides, we have added a cool little thin line beneath each of our titles. I think we are all set to deep dive into the templates which are commonly used in business scenarios, see for the use cases where we discuss some business cases and see which all templates can be used. But before we do that and walk into each of these 10 cases, what I will do now is just pause for a while and see if we have any queries. And in case we don't have that, or in case we have that, we sort it out here and then we move on to the next leg of our presentation. Yeah, so I think the first query is by Agam. So Agam, you have asked me why particular companies prefer particular colors for its presentation. So the idea is very simple, as I've commented you as well, is that all these companies have certain fixed marketing standards, or promotion standards. So basically, for the entire company, they project their entire identity in some color. So if you watch JP Morgan, if you just check their logo out, what you will see is that JP Morgan is all blue. So their logo also speaks of blue. If you look at their cover letters, if you look at any of their marketing materials, the tinge is always blue. So they kind of stick with that even in their presentation. The idea is very simple. They want to be consistent in the minds of their end audience, that blue means the color of JP Morgan. Similarly, if you talk about BCG, the Boston Consulting Group, they basically stick with the color of green. So it is a unique green which they use. It is more of a darker shade of green, and in all their communications, even the bags which are there, or even the bags which are there inside the company, as well as the other marketing material, their logo, their website, everything has a tinge of green. So even if you visit Boston Consulting Group's website, the entire website's theme is green. So again, the idea is very simple. They want to extend their brand identity or their company identity in their presentations as well, and hence they stick to a similar color. Any other queries, guys? feel free to comment in the live comment section, and I'll be more than happy to answer it. Okay, so if there are no more queries, then let me move forward with the presentation and now deep dive into the commonly used templates, right? So let me deep dive into commonly used templates and some of the use cases which can be there. Now, what is this section all about here? Before I get into the each of the business cases, let me just step back and walk you through the relevance of this particular section. Now, see, making business presentation is all about, as I told you, projecting your ideas in a lucid manner, right? Now, lot many times you have certain category of ideas as in at times you have to show basic comparison between how company A is performing vis-a-vis company B. Similarly, at other times you might need to project how your company is expanding its reach globally or across India. So that is one category of ideas which you might have in your head. Second category of ideas which might come in your head is that you have certain product and you want to highlight the features of that product. What are the best ways of highlighting the feature of any product? Then a second case would be that you want to present to your audience certain facts and want to draw your inference from those facts. Now, in each of these, and there can be several other use cases or ideas. Now, each of these use cases or each of these ideas which you have, this section basically walks you through what all common business templates do people follow in the industry to project these ideas in a lucid manner, right? So you can have any sort of template which you want for projecting your idea, but this section basically walks you through what is a professional way or what is a professional template to put that idea in a more lucid manner. Remember, guys, the end goal of any business presentation is not to have zazzy slides, but to have simple and elegant looking slides which can actually put your ideas in the heads of your audience. If you can do that, your presentation is successful, else not. And hence, in the coming 10 slides or so, I'm going to walk you through different cases, and then I will give you how a certain idea is projected into a particular template. So let me take case one. Guys, case one talks about a tabular template or a tabular architecture. Now, lot many times, guys, whether you have presented it in your college or you are already an audience who is right now into corporate, table is the first thing which comes into your mind when you create any template, because it is the most easiest, right? Table is one very structured form of putting across your ideas and numbers, comparative data, and so many other things. Now, if I just put a table over here, so let me just insert a table over here, guys. So let me have a 4 column table over here, right? So if I put the table over here and I stretch the table, say like this. Now, if I start putting my entries, right? Enter 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, right? Now, and then some text over here and some text over here and some more text and some more text. Right now, if you look at this table, what do you find, guys? That a basic default table which PowerPoint offers you has a very dull look. It has a very dull look, and in a more of a corporate presentation, it immediately gives a picture of unprofessionalism. So now what I'm going to tell you in this first case example is how this dull looking table can be converted into something which is much more professional and something which has much more element of enrichment, which will give that projection that your presentation or your slide is much more professional. So let us see how this can be done. First and foremost, all you need to do when you create a template, so let me just delete this off and start afresh so that we can capture the entire thing in one shot. So you have simply inserted a table, just stretch it so that it is big enough, right? Maybe you want to widen the title, that should be fine, right? And I shift it a bit, right? So now all you need to do, guys, is say in the beginning, just convert this into, go to the shading portion and make it blue. Second, you set the text to white. Third, you make this entire thing middle. So now you also go here, go to the format shape, go to text box, and instead of the vertical alignment being top, you make this vertical alignment middle, and you close this. And now let me show you something. You enter title 1 here, you enter title 2, and so on and so forth, right? And this might be your title 5, right? So this way, guys, what you have done is now your title portion is all set, right? Now let's see the portion where you'll enter your datas or where you'll enter other things. So here, make the shape fill no fill. Of course, you have to change the text color to black so that in white it is visible. Now here is the trick, guys. You just go to the design portion, select this as dotted, select your size to be maybe 1.5, set the pen color to blue, right? And now set the border of the same, right? So immediately you see you have a border, right? Now you need to do it one more time over here, and now you are all set. You can then now keep pressing tab, and your rows keep getting replicated, right? So you keep pressing tab and your rows keep getting replicated. Now when you enter things over here, this entire thing looks much more professional when it is written over here, right? So instead of ugly looking data slide, now this slide can be much more presentable because you have done a much better formatting of the same. So what have you done? First, you have ensured that the heading is proper along with the colors as well as the fonts. Then you have ensured that all the data entry points are bordered well with these dotted lines. So now this gives a much more professional table presentation than an ugly looking table which is created by the default table tool of Windows. So you can see here how it is, how an ugly looking table looks like in a window, right? So hence, this is how you can start from a default window or a default table and then convert it into something which is much more professional. Now let's go to case number 2, where we talk about comparison slide. So here is idea number 2, guys, or case number 2, where you have an idea where you want to tell your audience about two companies. Or say, for example, in my use case, what I have said is, let's take an example of two coaching institutes. and you want to basically compare them across various parameters. So let's do that. So let's see. So right now we had just created a table. Right now this is a better looking table, not the ugly looking one which PowerPoint offers you, right? And now what you have done is you have added all the parameters over here, right? And you are now comparing two coaching institutes. So you have coaching institute 1 and maybe other institutes which you want to compare. So for the time being, just forget about the remarks. So let me remove that, and let's just compare these coaching institutes. Now say for example, the coaching institute 1, it has this, so it is yes, and here it is no. Similarly, resume writing, yes, coaching institute 1 has yes and this has no. Similarly, this has yes and this has no. Similarly, coaching institute 1 offers Microsoft PowerPoint presentation as well, so it is yes. And other institutes, it is no. Similarly, there is a referral scheme that whenever somebody joins in from a referral, coaching institute 1 offers a certain referral, so yes, it is yes over here, and other institutes no. So now this is one way of comparing uh, two companies, right? But guys, this is more of a very not so refined way of comparing two things. So now let me tell you how you can compare it better by using something in PowerPoint, right? Where you are comparing two things, you can use ticks and crosses. So I repeat, whenever you are comparing two things, or whenever you have this idea in mind that you want to compare two things, right, you can better use ticks and crosses. Now how do you do that, guys? That is pretty simple here. You just go to the insert panel, okay, and then you go to the symbol part, okay. Now in the fonts, you go to wingdings. Select the font wingdings, okay. And in this wingding fonts, just scroll all the way to the bottom and select this tick icon, and you say insert. So automatically the tick gets inserted, right? Similarly, if the other institute, so let me just close this, and if the other institute does not have that facility, so this parameter quality faculty is available with coaching institute 1 and it is not available with coaching institute 2. So here you want to have a cross. So again you go to the symbol and you select wingdings, scroll all the way till bottom and select cross, and say insert, and then close. Now we are sorted for the day, guys. Now this is a simple text. This is a simple text. This is not some fancy picture you are seeing. It is just by the virtue of its font, it has appeared as tick. Now you can simply change the color of this tick. Tick always means a positivity. It is a sign of positivity. So what you can do is add green to it. Similarly, negative is always red. So the cross is in red. Now all you need to do, guys, is simply select this. Simply select this, and you might want to copy all of that, right? So now instead of that yes no comparison slide, which looks more of a college slide rather than a corporate slide, you can simply have these ticks and cross. Again, guys, remember, pictures or symbols have much deeper impact in the minds of your audience than text like yes, no, etc., right? And hence always whenever you are comparing things, or whenever you are thinking of projecting your idea in a particular slide, always think as to how you can present the idea with minimal text and maximum uh, symbols, or some neat looking pictures, so that you can explain the context in a much beautiful manner. So in this case, we have basically compared one institute with the other, and we have simply compared it across different parameters, right? So we have avoided a lot of text in this slide. We have kept it mostly pictorial so that things become clear right from the beginning, right? So this is one use case, or this is one template which we use generally in the corporates to compare two or more things. So there can be more things as well. So say for example, if in this I just add one more column and I say maybe coaching institute institute 2, right? And say coaching institute 1 coaching institute also has this, coaching institute 2 does not sorry, it does not have this, right? And so on and so forth. Again, it does not have a coaching facility as well, right? And it has the remaining two things. Right? So now this is a much more comprehensive comparison slide where you have shared three coaching institutes, right? Coaching Institute 1, Coaching Institute 2, and maybe some other institute. And now you have compared it across different parameters and you have basically ticked and crossed things which are available in each of the coaching institutes. And hence, your summary or your conclusion from this, anyone who is looking at this slide can immediately, infer from this slide that Coaching Institute 1 is far superior than others in terms of its value proposition, right? Now, guys, let's get into case number 3, which is related to geographical reach. Okay, so a lot many times, yeah, whenever a company is formed, it starts from a particular location, and then as soon as it starts getting traction, it starts reaching out to different places, right? Similarly, a lot many companies now which you see in India, MNCs, etc., they started all, some of them started from developed nations like US, UK, etc., and then they started spreading their wings into different other developing and developing and underdeveloped countries, and they came into India, etc. Now, whenever in the business presentations which these companies have, and you will find a lot of these scenarios where you have to basically project the reach of any company, right? That how a particular company is reaching out to its audiences across the world. And in that case, a slide related to a geographical reach is becomes is something which is required. And how do you project such slides, right? How do you project such slide? So let me show you one simple slide where a person has projected its plan to reach 100 odd cities in the next 3 years, right? So a person has basically, in a business presentation, he shows a world map and he has now colored the world map in different colors, and he has said that all the ones which are marked in green are something which he would like to reach out in phase 1, and all the ones which are marked in red is something where the company would like to reach out in phase 2. Now, how do you create such slides here? How do you color the world map? From where do you get these world maps, right? And how can you then color these world maps and create something which I am showing to you on the screen right now, right? So let me show you how this can be done. And again, it is very easy to replicate. Just that at times what happens is that whenever we have an idea to present something, we really don't know what are the resources to create the same. And in the next slide, I will just walk you through that resource which can easily create and replicate what I have created here in front of you. So to get started with a world map, dear friends, all you need to do is search for this simple text: world map PowerPoint template. All you need to do is just search for world map PowerPoint template, and it will immediately show you a lot of uh, search links. And basically, this world map which I have picked in this presentation is from presentationmagazine.com. So the link which is from presentationmagazine.com, just click on that and you will get this very elegant world map. Now, the elegance of this world map is not just that it is a world map. The beauty and the unique feature of this world map is that each of the elements of these world map, can be selected independently. Now, this is the most beautiful part of this world map template. Each of the locations which you see on this world map, it can be any small and it can be anywhere on this world map, right? You can simply select it and then color it according to your choice. So say if you say that, you know, the plan for your company is to, or you want to say that your company is currently present into say 5 locations. So you want to maybe color it with some other color. So you maybe color it with green. So you say, and you mark the keys here saying that, you know, all the green ones are the ones where my company is already present. Then you maybe, you know, select few others on this world map and say that these are the regions where my company intends to be in the next 5 years or so, or in the next 2 years or so, and you mark each of these places separately with maybe some different color, so maybe yellow. So these are the places where your company will be in the next 2 years. And then maybe your final plan, that post the traction in the second year, you want to then get into other niche countries, and this is your phase 3. This is your phase 3 where your company wants to get into, and you maybe select maybe few more here and there, and you maybe color it with some other color, maybe dark blue, right? And this way you can create some very professional looking geographical reach slides where you can individually pick and choose each of these regions and project as to how your company is expanding or how you will be expanding in future. Also, the beautiful part of this is that instead of searching for world map PowerPoint template, if you just search India map PowerPoint template, you will get this very refined map of India as well. So in case you are only focusing on an India or a particular country, you can even have such maps, such refined maps, where you can color each of the individual states or each of the individual districts, so as to project a particular country and the reach of your company in that particular country, right? So don't just restrict your search to world map PowerPoint template. You can also explore countries, specific countries map PowerPoint template, and get it again from presentationmagazine.com. So I'm not endorsing this website. Basically, I have found this website to be most genuine, and it has these free templates. You are free to choose whichever site you may want to. Then comes case 4, where you have a company or you have a product where you want to showcase the features of those products, right? So this is an idea, right? Now you want to project this idea into a template. That how do I create a slide which gives the feature list of a product? So maybe this is a scenario, right? So you want to create a feature list of a product. How do you do that? So there is this very common template which is used in the industry, which is called three blocker template. Now what is three blocker template, guys? Let me show you. This is a very simple blocker template. So say if you are offering a service which is a package of 3 features. What is that feature? You are offering CV writing, you are offering tools which are used for data crunching, and your product also has a feature which can prepare investor presentations, right? So hence these are the 3 features which you are offering. Now an elegant way, or a 3 blocker template, which we call, is nothing but this which I'm showing you on my screen right now. So you basically have these 3 blocks, 1, 2 and 3. Now what are these 3 blocks? Very simple. The first block, which is a deep colored one, you add the feature name. So say for example in this case the feature name is CV, so you have added the feature name over here. Then in the second block, instead of putting any text or instead of putting any box, you simply pick up from Google, right, or from any other resource, any picture which is in coherence with what feature you are showing. So say I'm showing here CV as one of the features, so hence I have picked up a picture of a CV, right? And in the third block, you basically then lay down the details of what this feature is in a very simple bulleted manner, right? So now this is one very common, this is one very common tool or template which is used inside the industry for projecting the features, right? And this is called three blocker template. So you can extend it to, you know, two features, three features, five features, etc. And you can simply add, keep adding these blocks. So second feature is maybe data crunching. So I've added one box here and I have added data crunching in it. And then I have added a simple picture which is in coherence or which is aligned with what I am writing over here. And then I have the third box which simply gives out the detailed meaning or the details of this feature, right? So this is called a three blocker template. And next time whenever you are planning to create a template which is more on the lines of telling the end audience about the feature list of a product or the features which you have in mind, then in that case you can simply use a three blocker template. Now let's come to case 5, which is called 360-degree approach. Now in the previous case, you had three blockers and you had three features. Now say you have 5 features, 6 features, etc. Right? In that case, if you use a three blocker template, then at times it becomes very cluttered. So you just imagine for yourself that if I add 5 such blocks in this one slide, what will happen is each of these, this slide will become very cluttered, right? And in that case, at times you follow a 360-degree approach or a 360-degree template. Now, what is a 360-degree template, my dear friends? At times, a lot of product offerings are 360-degree. So let me talk about one such product offering, which is called home loan. Now, home loan is one product offering that you mortgage your home and you get loan on behalf of it, right? Now, home loans also come with a feature which is called insurance, which means that say, God forbid, if you die while paying the loan, and while the loan is still active, right, then in that case your dependents need not pay the loan and your entire loan will be waived off. And in that case they have the second feature in any home loan, which is called insurance. So you pay the insurance premium, and in case something happens to you, the entire loan will be waived off, right? Similarly, there can be other facilities which are there to a home loan, right? So maybe whenever you need to pay your checks to the builder, you know, the guy from the home loan department will come and, you know, disburse that check on your behalf, etc. So these are the entire comprehensive list of features which are provided with any product. Now there can be n list or 4 list, 5 feature list, 6 feature list, right? And in that case, as I just told you, a three blocker template becomes very cluttered. So in that case, all you need to do is follow case 5 template, which is a 360-degree approach. Now, what is a 360-degree approach here? So the slide which you see on your screens right now is a 360 degree or a circular template. Now, how do you create this template? This template, again, creating this template is very easy. Each of your features, so say for example in this case what I have done is I have said that India College Search is one of the websites, right? And I say for example you have to highlight all the features of this website which are helpful for a college student. So what you have said is India College Search envisages to be a comprehensive website for college students, right? And you have basically given all the features which this website has to offer. So you see, you have basically highlighted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the good part is by utilizing the space around the circumference or around the circle, you have been able to tie up all the details in one slide, and this slide will also look very comprehensive and not very cluttered. Now, what you can do, simply each of your features will come over here. You simply have a box here, right? The box can be created very simply. Let me just draw it for you. So this is how you create a box, and simply you fill it with, you know, any dark color of your choice, right? And you simply mention the feature name over here, right? Maybe you want to change the color to white, that can be done. right? And then you change it to blue. So this is how you can create any of these boxes, right? And similarly, these boxes can be created, right? And you can note down the details of each of these features over here, right? You can also pick up some relevant images related to each of these features, and you can put it as small icons over here, right? Just beside the feature box, right? Now comes the tricky part as to how do I create this circle and then have this logo, etc., right? So now this is also very simple. Let me just walk you through how this circle was created. This has basically three parts. Let me break this entire circle into three parts. So basically you have the first circle. So all you can do is pick up circle from here, right, from your toolbox section. Simply draw a circle over here. Fill this circle with a color of your choice, right? So I filled it with gray shade. You might feel, if you want, you can fill it with some other color of your choice. Generally the professional color is that you can fill it with a gray color. Then you draw one more circle, the circle which has a dimension lesser than this bigger circle, right? And you fill it with white, and then you place this circle over in the middle of this, right? So this way basically you have created a ring, right? A ring across which you have placed all the features. And then the last part, which is the simplest of all the parts, is whichever product's feature you are actually highlighting, just pull out its logo from Google and just paste it in the middle, right? So this way what you have done is that you have created a ring, and across the circumference of this ring, around the circumference of this ring, you have basically highlighted all the features, right? So this is yet another elegant way of presenting a feature list, especially when the feature list is quite long, and especially in a case in which you don't want your slide to be very cluttered, right? So this is business case 5. Now before I go into case number 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, let me just pause for a while and see if you have any queries, which I would love to answer at this point of time. Yeah, so do comment and I would take it up from here. Okay, so I see two queries right now on my screen. One is again from Agam, that can we have only one picture? Uh, can we have only pictures instead of text in 360-degree approach. Now let me just go back to the 360-degree approach and let me show you something. Right now in this 360-degree approach, guys, what you also need to remember is that if you just lay down the feature list, okay, or a feature name over here, at times if you are sending across this presentation to someone else, he might not know just by reading this title and these pictures that what this feature is all about. So in that case, if you have also mentioned a bit of detail about what this feature is all about, it basically simplifies his things, right? So remember, guys, do not think that the presentation will always be presented by you. Lot many times what will happen is you will need to send across your presentation on emails, etc., to your colleagues and to so many other people, right? In that case, apart from having a neat template, it also needs to be comprehensive and needs to be bit detailed. So in that case, the description over here in 360-degree approach, apart from the pictures which you have, is definitely useful. In fact, you can skip the pictures if you want, but I would strongly suggest that you maintain this detail in your feature, because just looking at, say, I look at infrastructure facility review in this particular slide, I might not figure out what this review is all about till the time you give me bit of detail below that. Now let me come to the three blocker slide, where the second query which is coming to me is that should the is the photograph in between not redundant? Again, guys, what you can do is simply skip the photograph. Tinge of brightness or enhancement into your slide. But if you want, you can simply let go that photograph and simply have the feature list over here and have the details beside that, right? So that is absolutely fine. Any other queries? Okay, so then let me now go into case 6 till 10, and let me just walk you through these cases. Now, case 6 is basically about a business case where hmm, is basically about a case where you have presented certain facts and you want to lay down certain inference. Okay, so you have basically done your research work, you have laid down certain facts, and now you want to lay down your inference. So this is the basic use case and you want to present it in a template. So how do you do that here? Again, you have a very basic inference template which is primarily used in the corporate world, which is something like this. So all you do is have a simple two blocker, right, with facts on your left and inference on your right. So how do you do this? Very simple here. Uh, Let me just replicate the left portion of it for you, right? So all you do is just remove this and you remove this, okay? And let me just replicate this for you. So let me do that. 1 second, right? So you pick up the text box creator tool and simply do this, and you say add the facts here, right? And you make it bold, simply make it blue, you stretch the size of the same, right? And then you simply pick up the line tool from here and simply add the line over here, right? Now you can make this line a bit colorful, and you can also increase the weight of this line to make it look more thick, right? And of course you can make it a bit short, so in case you want to, right? So in case you want to make it a bit short, this is how you can do. So this is how you can create one blocker, and similarly you can replicate the second blocker over here as well, right? Simply add one more text area over here, right? So you can simply add one text area over here, then simply put the bullets and simply add your facts over here. So fact 1, maybe fact 2, and fact 3, and so on and so forth, right? So simply this text, simply you can have these two blockers. On the left you can have the fact, and on the right you have the inference. Now the beauty of the inference is that it is followed by a fact. So how do you show that? Very simple. All you do is pick up this tool, the triangle tool, right? Simply create this triangle, go to format, go to rotate, and rotate it right? And decrease the size of this, right? Put it right in the middle of these two blocks, extend this, right? And extend it a bit more, and we are sorted, right? So basically what you are telling is that, boss, these are my facts which I have found out, and this is leading to this inference, right? So this simple looking fact and inference slide actually solves a lot of your problems, right? So whenever you have fact and inference kind of idea in your mind and you want to project into a slide, this is one simple corporate template which is used to project such an idea, right? Now let's go to case 7, which is timelines and milestones. Now let's see what it is. So say for example, you are an operation manager, right? And you are given a project that yaar dekho, you need to create maybe what you need to uh, create a car in say another 30 days or 60 days, right? And now you have to give a timeline that okay yaar, in the first 30 months 30 days my design would be ready. In the next 60 days or 90 days my prototype will be ready. In the next 1 month we will have certain iterations, then we will go into the production stage, and say in the 12th month we will actually start producing this, right? Now how do you as an operation manager present this timeline along with the milestones? Just like I said, creation of idea, developing the designs, then developing the prototypes, then production, etc. How do you also mark these timelines and milestones on a simple yet elegant looking slide, right? So this is basically business case 7, where lot many times in your corporate world as well as in your college, you will have to have these timelines and milestones. So now let me just show you a simple template to the same. So this is how you can simply have a simple this is how you can have a simple looking slide which shows a timeline, right? So all you need to do is from your drawing tool, just select this right arrow and draw this right arrow over here, right? Then just pick up these lines and draw these lines in between those arrows, right? And we are sorted. So this is your timeline. So in this particular example, we have taken 4 years as different timelines. So your year 1, year 2, year 3, and year 4. So you have marked these years on your timeline. Then you have marked each of these milestones on each of these years. So you have basically identified for yourself, and you are presenting to this management that, okay, I have 4 milestones. So milestone 1, milestone 2, milestone 3, and milestone 4, right? Again, we have added a picture because picture carries a lot of enhancement value. So for each of the milestones you can pick up relevant pictures. So say for example your milestone 1 is design, just google some generic picture of a design and you can put it over here. Similarly, if your milestone is prototype, you can simply pick up prototype picture and put it over here, right? And then of course the details will come over here. So this is again very simple looking and elegant slide which can simply project your timelines and the milestones which you have attached to these timelines, right? So this is again very simple looking, but it immediately gives the crux of your entire project to the higher management. And again, time and again, you will find this template coming very handy in your corporate career. Now let's come to case number 8, which is sequencing the timeline. So at times what happens is that, say for example, for year 1, right? So we have year 1 and we have identified milestone 1. Now say for example, to achieve this milestone 1, you might have to have lot of other steps which needs to be followed before you achieve milestone 1. So there can be sequence 1, sequence 2, sequence 3, and sequence 4, right? The sequence could be, we'll brainstorm first, then we'll formalize the basic concept of the idea, then we will go into the designing part, and then we'll iterate the designing, and then we will freeze the designing and we'll complete. So 5 sequences milestone. So now say for example, in each of these milestones, you have to actually deep dive to the management and tell them how this milestone will be created, right? So that is the case when you have case 8, which is called sequencing the timeline. So whenever you have a timeline in which you have to double click, or where you have to deep dive on any timeline, on any milestone, and tell the management or your audience, right, or your team, that how this entire milestone will be achieved, what will be the sequence of events to achieve this milestone, right? That is called sequencing the timeline template, right? And let me just show you with some other unique example. So say for example, there is a proposal for creating an entrepreneurial cell in any particular college, right? And the director of that college has basically asked the TNP head that, boss, tell me how you are going to create the entrepreneur cell in your college. How are you going to create that? So in that case, whenever you have such situations, you are basically going to have this sequential template which we generally use. So how do you create this template? It is again very simple here. All you need to do is go into insert, go to smart art, and in the processes section you will find this sequence, right, which is called basic chevron process. So when you select that and press OK, you will get something like this. Now all you need to do is to highlight that this is like a sequence coming from all the way from step 1 to step 2. You can basically shade each of these sequence with a different color. So basically you are starting from a light color, then become little darker, and then you have the final step, which is your final milestone being achieved. So this is basically generally a color coding which you use, starting from a lighter shade to the highest shade, right, and gradually increasing the shade, which tells you that as you progress from left to right in this sequence, you are actually moving closer to fulfilling your milestone, right? And then you can name right? And then you can name each of these sequences. That is again very easy. You simply add the text, right, to each of the sequence which you want to achieve. So say for example, in this case, if the TNP head has to give his plan to the director as to how he will create an entrepreneurial journey in the college, he will say we will start off with a learning assignment, then we will go into the ideation, then we will seek out industry mentors who can mentor our kids, and then finally some of those mentorship will lead to fruition of such ideas, some ideas, right? So this way basically he can show from a series of steps how a journey or a milestone can be achieved. Again, the idea is very simple. You have highlighted everything. Then simply you can use corresponding photographs which are, in alignment with what you are saying here. So say for example, you are saying mentorship, you are, putting picture which portrays more of a mentorship. Ideation again has a picture relevant to it. And then here you are basically adding details of each of these steps. So say for example, if we are talking about ideation, we are simply saying we will brainstorm your ideas with the mentors and test the viability. So the ideation stage would mostly involve brainstorming the ideas and punching it with the mentors to check whether it is viable or not. Similarly, you can add each of the descriptions in these light colored boxes over here and you are sorted. So this way, every time you need to give a comprehensive plan as to how you will achieve a certain milestone. This is how you can use a sequencing template, right, to achieve the same. Then let's come to case number 9, which is called prioritizing the business plan. So say for example, you have identified just in the previous case, let me extend that example for the sake of illustration, that in each of the 4 steps which I highlighted in the previous case, how do you want to prioritize each of the things, right? So which of the things you want to prioritize? Learning, ideation, mentorship, fruition. Which of these 4 things do you want to prioritize? Or for example, some other company wants to expand throughout India and it says, okay, we are going to prioritize these 4 things, or these 4 agendas would be there on our table for the next 3 months so that we can achieve our goal of expanding throughout India. So then how do you show to the end audience that, you know, which of my agendas are top of priority and which are down the priority? So then in that case, there is something called prioritizing template, and let me just run you through that. This is how, so say for example, a corporation A, they are driving 6-point agenda. Okay, so corporation A is driving 6-point agenda, and they say agenda 1 and agenda 2 are of top priority right now. So what do they do? So they have highlighted all the agendas. This is a simple looking table slide which we saw in our first illustration, right? And they have basically highlighted all this agenda over here. Now, how do you say that, okay, this is the agenda which is at the highest and this is the agenda which is at the lowest? So first, this is called power bars. I repeat, this is called power bars. How do you create these power bars? If you see this power bar is wide at top and it is, it is tapered below. So it tells me that things which are at the top end of this bar are of higher priority, and things which are at the lower end of this bar are of lower priority. Also, if you see the coloring of this bar, my dear friends, you will find that the top part is more dark colored and the lower part is light colored, which again tells me that things or the agendas which I see at the top of this bar, agenda 1, 2 and all, are at top priority, and then as we move down the bar or as we move down our agenda list, my priority moves from high to low, right? So how do we create these priority bars is what we are going to see right now in this particular template, right? So let's go to home, and from your drawing toolbox over here, all you need to do is select this. It is called right triangle, right? So you just select right triangle and you simply sketch this right triangle like this, right? Just stretch it and it will be drawn, right? Just go over here, go to format, and simply rotate this. Maybe you are flipping it vertical, right? And then first flip it vertical, and then again go to rotate and flip it, maybe flip it horizontal once more, right? So you create it, flip vertical, flip horizontal. So you are over here, right? So now the first part is done, where we have created a power bar, right? So we have created a power bar over here, and this power bar is broad on top and it is tapering below. So that way, if we place this power bar beside the agenda, this tells the end user who is looking at it that, okay, things which are at the top of the power bar are of more priority or are of higher priority, and things lower down this priority bar or the tapered portion of the priority of this power bar has lower priority. Now, how do you add this shade such that it becomes much more vibrant? So you go to format shape. In the fill section, go to gradient fill. So in the fill section, just go to gradient fill. Okay. Now in this, all you need to do is select the color. So maybe you want to select the green color over here, right? Then select radial, right? Right. And then just try playing with this, right? So you basically select this color, right? Select this color as green, and then just try playing with this. So this stop position is something which you should play with. Okay, so just try playing with this. So say if you want to just project the top two agendas, right? So just shift it a bit, right? So I repeat, go to format shape, go to fill. In the fill section, select gradient fill. In the gradient fill, just select this gradient, this green color gradient, which is by the name of moss. Then select the type as radial. Radial means it is moving out like this, right? And then from the color section, just select green, and then just play with this stop position. So when you play with this stop position, you can just play with what portion of that triangle or that power bar you want to have more green, and which portions you want to have lighter green shade. So now we are all set, and we say close, and all we have is I delete this, and this is what you have created right now in this tutorial. So this is what we have, right? So what this power bar tells me, that it is broad at top, so the agendas at top are my top priority. Also it is lighter in the tapered region, so that tells me that things which are lower down this power bar are of lower priority, right? Now let's come to the final business case before we wind up this presentation and then open for the query section, is regarding the business segment and specialization. Now let me tell you what this is all about. A, a lot of times what will happen is that you will need to showcase to your audience or to your bosses that what all businesses a particular company is in. So say for example you want to acquire, say for example, Star Group, right? Now Star in itself is a huge group, and it is into several channels and into several things, right? So how do you show the bifurcation of different business segments, different business segments into which a company is into, and then what are the different functions which are there in each of these segments? So let me again tell you, you have corporation A, it has lot many segments, and then in each of these segments there are several operations which are there in each of the segments. So how do you show this segment and specialization while you are demonstrating any corporation or while you are demonstrating any acquisition of a particular company? So in that case, we use a simple template, which is honored by simple looking slide like this. which is called horizontal and vertical slide, or a vertical template. Horizontal and vertical template. In that case, all you need to do is basically identify. So say basically, if there are 5 core areas of a particular company which is spanning across 6 major business segments, then how do you show this simple looking action title, right? So basically a company has 5 core areas and it is spanning across 6 major segments. How do you show that? So you simply use this down arrow, right? So you simply can draw this down arrow. Each of these down arrows can be colored with a brighter shade, right? And this brighter shade then can be labeled as segment 1, segment 2, segment 3, and so on, right? So there are, in this particular example, there are 6 segments. So we have highlighted each of these segments which this company is into 6 vertical lines pointing downwards. Similarly, if you have 5 core areas in each of these segments. So in each of these segments, whatever this segment might be, you have 5 core areas. What are these? Finance, operations, HR, R&D, and marketing, right? So you specify each one of them with these horizontal lines. So what you can do is simply pick up this right arrow from your drawing tool, and you can simply draw these horizontal lines. You can color it with the lighter shade and you are sorted. So this way, by drawing these vertical lines and these horizontal lines, and by labeling each one of them with the corresponding segment names and the core areas around which it spans, you can highlight the complete business of a company at a broad level in one simple slide. I repeat, at a broad level, you can highlight the complete business of any particular company in one single slide, right? So with this final template, I would like to end this session, and I would like to open the house for any queries which you might have. Yeah, please do shoot if you have any queries. Great, guys. So we just wind up this entire session. Hope you have found this session both interesting as well as useful. And going forward, I am sure that whenever you now make any presentations, you will be in a much more comfortable position to project your ideas into something which is much more easier to understand and in a much more professional manner. Thank you so much. And in case you have any other queries, even post this session, do post in the comment section, and I would be more than happy to take it up offline as well. Thank you so much again for attending this session.